Hey, this is Pat Freeman once again here on the network with my buddy Chris Stevenson. How you doing, Chris?
What's going on, Pat?
We're once again confronted with a controversial issue. This issue is once again seeing that police brutality has not gone away. Years ago, it was right in front of us. Then all of a sudden 9/11 hit the scenes and police brutality allegedly went away. Well, it hasn't. We see now in the case of Trayvon Martin that happened this week that this young man was gunned down unmercifully. Chris, what happened with the Trayvon Martin case?
Well, you know what? The thing about it, this took place on February 27th. You know, young man, young 17-year-old kid, okay, visiting relatives, living in an upper, a good section of town, whatever, up in Orlando, and in a gated community. There is an individual there named George Zimmerman. He saw this young man walking out of, just leaving out of a store with a bag of Skittles, armed with a bag of Skittles and a can of iced tea. And he confronts this guy, and he's what are you, like, what are you doing here, whatever. And he calls the police. Police calls 911. Police tell him, don't do anything till we get there. At some point during this, afterwards, this guy who's driving in the SUV, driving a sports utility vehicle, he pulls over, confronts Trayvon, and a scuffle ensues. Maybe the most Trayvon was able to do was punch this guy in the nose, whatever. And then that's it. After that, this guy had a weapon on him, a pistol. He blows Trayvon away, shoots him in the heart, or shoots him in the chest at least. But kid is dead.
This is ridiculous. One of the calls states that non-emergency dispatch number, according to Julison, Zimmerman says he's checking me out. And then this guy looks like he's on drugs. He's definitely messed up. There's a real suspicious guy. This guy looks like he's up to no good, on drugs or something. Zimmerman can be heard telling the dispatcher, "These a-holes always get away," he adds. The dispatcher is heard trying to discourage Zimmerman, asking, "Are you following him? Okay, we don't need to do that." Within minutes, however, 911 calls are being made to police reporting two are fighting. "They're wrestling right in the back of my porch," one frantic caller says. "The guy's yelling for help. I'm not going out." On a second call, someone screams for help, and he can heard what sounds like two gunshots. The caller's boyfriend shouts, "Get down." After the second apparent gunshot, the shouts for help cease. And Julison told ABC News that these were gunshots. And I'm pretty sure that this guy, holy SH, the guy is dead. One witness described Zimmerman after the shooting. He's out there with his flashlight. The guy is raising his hands up saying he shot the person, the caller said. Martin's family listened to 8 tapes. And Julison said at one point, Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon's mother, ran out of the room screaming and crying, barely lasting through half the tapes. The boy's father, Tracy Martin, stoic and measured, and then erupted, and Julison said, "He killed my son." Martin said, according to Julison, "He killed my son. He couldn't control himself." This 28-year-old overzealous police officer of Sanford, Florida, apparently overstepping his boundaries, killed a kid with a bag of Skittles and an iced tea.
But see, here's the thing. This guy is not a police officer. He's a neighborhood watch captain.
So he's not a full-fledged officer?
No, he may have been going to community college studying criminal justice. He's a wannabe cop. He's known as a wannabe police officer. Why is he
armed?
He's armed.
Why do you have an untrained officer armed in a gated community?
He's doing his own patrol on his own volition. Okay? And it's good to have protectors in the community. This is not a protector. This is vigilante.
So this guy's just a wannabe.
He's a wannabe.
Not a real cop. He's a toy soldier with a gun.
A gun.
Overzealous, lost his mind,
right.
Thought he was doing duty.
Yeah. He's
a lot of nut jobs out there.
You put a gun and opinions in the hands of some people, this is what's going to happen. All right? And as you can see, even the police tell him they sense something's wrong with this
But
guy.
listen to this. A week after ABC News uncovered questionable police conduct in the investigation of the fatal shooting, including the alleged correction of at least one eyewitness account, outrage that the shooter remains free is intensifying. It's surprising. It's shocking, said Tracy Martin, Trayvon's father. It lets me know that justice is not being served here. All we want is justice for our son. We're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. In an interview with ABC News, Martin's mother, Fulton, tearfully said she only seeks an arrest. Let a judge and a jury decide the rest. In the meantime, outrage is spreading across the internet. Seminole County State Attorney Office was so bombarded with emails demanding that they prosecute Zimmerman that its website had to be taken down for 45 minutes, according to a spokesperson from the office. Over one of several petitions for Zimmerman's arrest has garnered more than 250,000 signatures. I don't understand, why is this a situation that they're not arresting this overzealous
There's two things that make people think that this is really the police involved. It's the police is just like a typical police shooting, like in the Romilly Graham situation or Amadou Diallo. You know what I'm saying? We can go on and on all day long naming names. Number one, they refuse to arrest the guy, even though they have him on tape. Number two, the big thing about it, he has a record. The police first stated this guy has no record. He's got a record, not just a criminal record.
Mm-hmm.
This Zimmerman got into a fight with the cop back in 2005, I believe it was. Okay.
Why is he on a job like this? It doesn't make any sense.
It defies all sense of logic.
Don't they do background checks? They better hire a lawyer quick.
I just don't see a lot of gun salesmen doing background checks.
Well, there are people moving in position to make a citizen's arrest if they don't move quick.
And I understand also, here's the thing. I think the police are kind of relying on the law in Florida where you can shoot somebody in Florida. It's lawful to shoot. This is a white man law in Florida, even though it's not specified.
Mm.
But if you think somebody's a threat, you can shoot him and get away with it. But what erases that is he was warned by the police not to do anything until they got there. Okay? So he feared, well, they get here, they're just going to let him go. I want to shoot the guy. All right? That's the thing. It stinks. It really does. The whole thing, the whole situation, it's really, really, it's ridiculous.
And people don't want gun control. I don't understand. Why does everybody? Everybody should not have a weapon.
No, you can't.
But the NRA is like, oh, it's our constitutional right. We have a right to bear arms. Yeah. Well, you have a right to live first. And this is a situation where an innocent young man was gunned down by an overzealous rent-a-cop by the name of Zimmerman.
He's not even a rent-a-cop. Nobody rented him. He rented himself. He was there, you know what I'm saying? Nobody rented him. Nobody asked for him to be a police. He's probably belongs to some block club or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Crime watch or something like that. Anybody can do that. That doesn't make you a cop. That does not equate to police officer.
Now get this. Sanford, Florida Police Chief Billy Lee. That sounds bad within itself.
That sounds bad. That sounds bad.
Billy Lee said Zimmerman asserts he shot Martin out of self-defense. Until we can establish probable cause to dispute that, we don't have the grounds to arrest him, Lee said Tuesday. Martin has been staying at his father's girlfriend's house during the night of the NBA All-Star Game February 26th on his way back into the gated suburban Orlando community. After stepping out, Martin, wearing a hood, was spotted by Zimmerman. Zimmerman described Martin as suspicious because he was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and walking slowly in the rain, police later told residents at a town hall. A dispatcher told him to wait for a police cruiser not to leave his vehicle. But about a minute later, Zimmerman left his car wearing a red sweatshirt and pursued Martin on foot between two rows of townhouses about 70 yards from where the teen was going. Zimmerman's suit of Martin did not, of itself, constitute a crime, Lee said. Witnesses told ABC News a fistfight broke out, and at one point Zimmerman, who outweighed Martin by more than 100 pounds, was on the ground, and that Martin was on top. That's pretty bad. He was getting beat down by a guy that he outweighed by 100 pounds. Austin Brown, a 13-year-old, was walking his dog during the time of the altercation and saw both men on the ground but separated. Brown, along with several other residents, heard someone crying for help. Just before hearing a gunshot, police arrived 60 seconds later, and the teen was quickly pronounced dead. Now, they said someone was crying for help. It was probably Zimmerman.
Yeah.
According to the police report, Zimmerman, who was armed with a handgun, was found bleeding from the nose and the back of the head, standing over Martin, who was unresponsive after being shot.
Well, believe it or not to cut you off, there's another woman, she's on YouTube, a white female. It happened behind her house.
Mm-hmm.
She says the kid was hollering for help. There are a lot of us people assuming that Zimmerman was hollering for help.
Uh-huh.
People are saying it's the kid that was doing it, and the police, the Orlando police have been trying to correct these people, trying to manipulate them into saying, okay, instead of arresting Zimmerman like they should, trying to manipulate them into saying Zimmerman was the one crying for help. Okay? So some of these people are saying it's the kid that was crying for help. But even regardless, this is not a situation where somebody should have wound up dead. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Zimmerman shouldn't even be free to walk, much less even be alive really right now. He shouldn't be free to walk. He's staying at his dad's house now. Big tough guy. All right? So that tells you a lot about him. You know, he's just a wimpy white guy with opinions and a gun. That's it. Probably fueled, propped up by right-wing radio and all this nonsense, and can't wait to act out his fantasies. You know, I want to be a cop. This is what cops do. You can get black kids in trouble. You can get black people in trouble. Cops are shooting blacks. This is what I want to do. I'm taking criminal justice in community college or whatever, and so I can go out there and act out my fantasies.
Right.
And they're letting me get away with it. They haven't arrested me yet. So it's also if they don't arrest him, and they should start investigating this Billy Lee whatever. Okay,
right.
They should investigate him now. If they don't do it, they're just as murderous and culpable as he is.
It does say in the report that another officer corrected a witness after she told him she heard the teen cry for help. The officer told the witness, a longtime teacher, it was Zimmerman who cried for help, said the witness. ABC News has spoken to the teacher, and she confirmed that the officer corrected her when she said she heard the teenager shout for help. Sanford Police Department earlier refused to release 9/11 calls by witnesses and neighbors. Several of the calls ABC News has learned contained the sound of a single gunshot. Lee publicly admitted that officers accepted Zimmerman's word at the scene, and he had no police record. 2 days later, during a meeting with Trayvon's father, Tracy Martin, an officer told the father that Zimmerman's record was squeaky clean. Yet public records show that Zimmerman was charged with battery against an officer resisting arrest in 2005, a charge which was later expunged. In a letter to the Orlando Sentinel, Zimmerman's father contended his son is not a racist. At no time did George follow or confront Mr. Martin when true details of the event become public. You know, that's something too. A lot of times we have found that people don't even know that they're exhibiting racist tendencies anymore by how a person is dressed, how they look. You're now putting an accusation attached with how a person looks to you,
right,
by how you depict that person. And they don't believe that that's racism anymore, Chris.
Well, would he have done this if this were a white guy?
Right.
That's the question that's forever going to dog people like this.
Absolutely.
And they, like you say, this is that new thing they got. I'm not a racist. Okay.
Yeah, that's first thing out of their mouth.
First thing out of their mouth. I'm not a racist. That black person here.
What made you follow him? Well, he had on a hood. He was black, and he looked suspicious.
He looked suspicious. Okay, that's it. So
if he was white and had on a hood, did he look suspicious to you? The answer is usually no.
Exactly. Exactly. Even if that white kid was the first time he ever saw that person, he's not going to look suspicious. All right? Even if he deserves to be looked at suspiciously, he may have done something, okay, in another community. But that's the way they think. So, yeah, it's a profiling issue as well.
Absolutely. Trayvon Martin's family seeks only justice. Trayvon Martin had no arrest record or disciplinary action for violence as a student at North Miami's Crop High School. On Monday, police seeking to head off racial unrest tried to reassure the public that his department was doing all it could to reach a fair conclusion. On some of the crowd heckling him, saying, "A little black boy is dead." Lee's department says it plans on passing its investigation over to the state attorney's office to determine whether to press charges against Zimmerman. Trayvon Martin's parents described him as the kind of son who, even at 17, allowed his parents to kiss him publicly. Once again, we see an innocent young black gunned down in a Florida gated community, Chris. I mean, when is this going to end? Will it ever end?
And here's the thing. Understand, when you say gated community, the community is already protected.
Right.
You don't need a neighborhood watcher. The community is already protected. Most people, most thieves and everything and crooks do not even bother with gated communities. All right? So this is outrageous. It really is outrageous. Now, you know, I have no words. I read an article this morning, column. This is going to be posted on the Bullet soon, but Charles M. Blow, who really writes for the New York Times, he did a very good op-ed in the Times about this, and it's got links and everything. You can go to there. You get the links to a couple of the 9/11 calls, statements by the Mr. Billy Lee, and people like this. You know, very good detail. I'm going to post that within a few days. You know, but it's just a tragic situation done by a sick person, and it's even sicker people who are allowing this guy to continue to walk free.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take any state attorney's office or whatever the case may be.
No.
You know, this is not rocket science.
We here at the network are calling for justice for Trayvon Martin and his family for this injustice that has been done to this young man, another 17-year-old innocent young black gunned down in the streets, just going to the store for a can of iced tea and Skittles is absolutely ridiculous. And if not, we're calling on federal authorities to step in and bring Mr. Zimmerman to justice for being an overzealous rent-a-cop and had no business overstepping his bounds of what he's supposed to do. Obviously, in the position that he's supposed to be in, Chris, if he notices anything, he's supposed to call police and not act on his own.
You know, the Skittles thing reminds me, I was with my little cousin. She goes to basic, okay? And just walking her home, whatever, getting ready to ride the train with her as she gets out of school. And she likes to buy Skittles, okay? But we go into this Arab store, they're looking at us, okay? And she couldn't find her money for a while. I said, you better find that money or else I would have paid for it anyway if she didn't. But exactly. I said, you better find that money, because just in case you get in a situation like this, because these people don't understand, and they are armed and ready to call 911 on your black behind, and that's what's going on. You know, it's easy. What's going on is it's easy to get blacks in trouble. It's easy to call the police on them for the slightest little infraction. Even imagine delusional infractions, okay? And the police will respond. But this guy was so delusional, even the police doubted him.
Right.
And they still won't arrest him. So there's so many disturbing angles to this story.
Well, we're asking for justice for Trayvon Martin here on the network, and that's all for us here this week. Justice for Trayvon Martin, killed unmercifully in the Florida gated community, and we're hoping that justice comes to his family and for him, that this person is brought to justice immediately for gunning down another innocent black youth. Once again, we're here on the network. I'm Pat Freeman. This is my buddy, Chris Stevenson. How can people find more about what's going on your blog and everything else you do?
You can get me on Facebook, PointBlank009, under my name, Chris Stevenson. The same thing with Twitter, PointBlank009, or the Buffalo Bullet. There'll be some columns coming out regarding Trayvon Martin, as well as Marley Graham, who was shot down while ambushed in his own home by members of the NYPD coming up this week. So that's all I can tell you. And of course, stay tuned here to clbTV and YouTube, where we will continue to update you on situations like this.
That's right. Racism has not dead or gone away. Police brutality and other issues that affect Africans here in America are still on the front burner of time. We still need to talk about them and deal with all of these issues. That's all for us here on the network. I'm Pat Freeman. This is my buddy Chris Stevenson.